your documentary.
Hello, my name is and my blog is Dancing Mama Style. I'm doing my first Power Women series with ana.belaval.
Yeah. Belaval is what I use on TV.
Ana.belaval.
Yeah.
And,
it makes me sound.
Yeah, very exotic.
Yes.
And I'm so excited to share her with you. I know that many of you already know her because she is a Chicago celebrity and somebody that I am honored to know as just a friend. Also, we dance together here in this awesome space.
Well, I dance behind her.
We dance together. Sometimes she has her own flair. I start just doing what she's doing. So I'm very honored to have her as my first guest because she's someone that I admire so much. I met her about 9 years ago. Just here, she was doing a feature on Mozzie. She kind of put us on the map. We were like nobodies back then in like 2010, and she did a show about us. So it was so helpful in getting our name out. And ever since then, we've just kind of seen each other here and there over the years. And she started dancing with us again a few years ago, and so here we are. I asked her to come here, and thank you so much for being here. Welcome.
I'm excited. I'm honored. It's so cool.
Yay. I can't wait to just have you hear her story. I haven't heard her story all that much, but I know that she's awesome. So your name, ana.belaval.
Yes. I am from San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I'm named after my mom, and there's about like 7 Anas in my family, so we all use our middle names. So I'm really Ana Maria, because my mom's name is Ana Victoria. And we are generations of Puerto Ricans, and I am the first Chicagoan Puerto Rican. No one ever had left the island to Chicago, and I did it when I was 21 to pursue my journalism career. I worked in Spanish for many years, but I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. That's what I call home.
That's so amazing. I've always wanted to visit. I never have, but I love salsa dancing, and I love just like the culture, and so I'll have to go with you one day.
Yes, you have to. Yeah.
So I also just really was interested to hear and having other people hear about just like kind of how you were as a child and like
just like this,
very exuberant and
yes, I was very chatty.
Okay.
Yes, I talked a lot. A lot. I was very passionate as a kid. Very much a natural born performer. I loved telling stories, I loved impersonating people, I loved dancing and acting, and so my parents put me in dance class when I was 8. And it was kind of a dance academy that was very progressive. It was led by, because it was one of our main dancers from Puerto Rico. Her name is Nana Udo, and she opened this, the name was Children's Ballet and Theater Studio. So we did ballet, but we also did pantomime. So I was a mime when I was a kid. The only time I was quiet, for real. We did shows as mimes. Like we did Noah's Ark as a mime. We did a lot of original productions together with the University of Puerto Rico, which was perfect because I was born like an old lady. I always wanted to be an adult. So kid things really didn't interest me. Like I played band. And I played teacher, made out with posters of older men, that kind of stuff, right? I was always looking towards the future, and I always wanted to perform. And when I was 14, my dad told me I needed to get a summer job. And he threatened me with my uncle's insurance company, and where I would file papers. And I said, no. I did a school project at a local TV station, and I loved what news reporters do, so I want to intern there. So at 14, I called the news director at WAPA, who was a distant relative. And I said, would you mind if I come as an intern? And he said, yeah. So I interned at WAPA TV every summer through high school and college.
So it was always a passion point.
It was always a passion point. I knew I wanted to be a storyteller, I knew I wanted to be the performer, but I didn't have the courage to be told no in auditions.
So just really quickly, taking a step back, can you describe in more detail what you do today?
Okay, so I am the feature reporter for WGN Morning News. So we are a very unique morning news that WGN developed, And we are the #1 morning news in Chicago. So we beat the Today Show, we beat Good Morning America. We've been around for 25 years. And it's almost a very irreverent show, so we mix news and entertainment. And what I do is a feature segment, so I go everywhere around Chicago, the suburbs, Indiana. I cross borders here, and I tell people what's going on culturally, socially, anything that's very visually attractive, I cover, and then I try it too, which is very funny because as a kid I was afraid of everything. That's how my mom controlled us, and so I've done more things after age 30 because of this job.
Amazing.
Including I learned how to ride a bike at age 40.
There's still hope for me.
No!
Yes.
Oh my God!
I don't know how to ride a bike. It's like my deepest, darkest secret.
I'll tell you where I learned. But my daughter was the one who said like, hey, listen, you're 40.
Yeah, gotta do it.
You gotta do it. So I learned, but I didn't know when I was a kid. No. I blame my father, he couldn't care less.
I know.
He couldn't care less. He's like, yeah, she has other interests. Every time I get her on the bike, she screams like she's gonna die. And my mom said, just give her a hand, she'll drive.
But for me, it was just that I was always in like the studio, and it was like, well, we gotta, you know, you can't really risk like something going wrong either.
No one worried about that with me.
Just negligence.
It was just negligence. They knew I wasn't that good of a dancer that they needed to protect my limbs, Zima. It's completely different to my reason, which was my dad was fed up with me screaming.
Yeah.
My older brother Mario knows how to do everything. I don't know how to skate.
Yeah. It's like the younger.
But and this show, and I've been wakeboarding, off a boat and off a line. I've been indoor skydiving. I've been dancing with you guys. I danced with Joffrey once, which was a big mistake on my part. And then what else have I done? I've been in the ceiling of the auditorium theater inside a Mylar pool. You would have loved that. It was a show called Fuerza Bruta, and there were these Argentinians. Yes, they had this Mylar pool, but I had to go up the rafters and into this pool with 2 dancers, and they would flip that was my favorite memory, yes. In water, and then we would like pretend it was like being in the womb, but I was feet up.
Wow.
Yeah, I only try all those things once.
Just a quick question then, as I'm listening to you think about this, like how do you really feel? Like, because it sounds like you really have to be extremely present for your job, like every day, and just like, you know, bring it your all and have like that adrenaline rush and meeting new people, and like how do you kind of self-care to just be able to do that day in and day out?
I dance. I do. I try and do yoga. I hang out with my girlfriends if I can.
Yeah.
I nap because I don't get a lot of sleep because of the job, and I have 2 children. And I like to be home a lot.
Okay.
I like to be home with my husband and my kids.
Yeah.
You know, you won't see me out at night.
Okay.
I like small groups when I socialize. You won't see me on social magazines and stuff like that, or galas or whatever.
Okay.
So, but I love my job. So
Yeah, I know.
it makes me very, very happy. So the highlight of my day is that. And then after 2 p.m. it goes to hell.
Right? 2 p.m. nap time.
Yeah, I need a nap around 1. So that's why summer with the kids kills me because I haven't been napping in the summer because the kids are home from camp and you have to do kid.
Yeah. The other thing that kind of triggered a question is, you know, you said that you were always interested in being a storyteller, and I think that right now, I think there's a lot of people out there, including myself, that are trying to become better storytellers and just like engage an audience or try to motivate people to do things. I think that's such an important quality, like whether you're a salesperson or whether you're just, you know, an intern, or whether you're just, it can be anybody. Storytelling is so powerful. Like, what are any tips for that piece of it? Because you're so good at it. I think if you haven't watched her show before, definitely Google it. It's like she just like totally captures your attention right from the beginning, and then you just kind of want to do whatever she's doing. So that's very powerful.
Yeah,
so.
and sometimes I don't even want to do it. I wrote a lot. I still write a lot.
Okay.
I think I try to keep it as simple as possible. I don't use very big words. I think also because my first language is Spanish, I've realized that if I try to get too complicated in English, then I lose them, right?
Yeah.
So I try to be very animated. I try to be, storytelling is engaging if people can relate. So instead of going for the data and the what you think is interesting for, no offense, a bunch of MBAs. And, you know, for regular people, you've got to tell the story that they can relate. The other day I did kind of like a TED talk for a group of engineers, pharmaceutical people, for the Pharmacy Association in Puerto Rico. And I said, what are they going to find in common with me? Well, they really liked it because I told them a different story and they could relate, because a lot of them are from Puerto Rico but live in the United States and understand our special type of migration and that kind of idea. So I read a lot. And you just have to be open-minded to learn about new things and, you know, be excited about them. There's stuff I'm not excited about sports at all, but I have found a passion when I do the story, because then, you know, I realize it brings the city together. It's with my kids. I see that my son can socialize better because he has that connection, whereas my daughter doesn't have it because she's like me. She's not athletic, so.
The poor eater, right?
The poor eater is the boy. Will eat slime but not chicken.
I know, I think it's because they're used to eating slime.
Without us knowing.
Well, that is so powerful, because I think that that's something that I forget myself, like keeping it simple and just trying to relate and not like emotionally relate, connect with somebody versus just like trying to convince somebody just with like facts, because, you know, facts don't always work.
And I remember I had a producer who I would be like, well, how big is this venue? And he's like, who cares? And I'd be like, dude, that's what I learned in journalism school. You've got to give them the facts. You've got to tell them, you know, it seats 55. And he's like, no. Just go for what people are seeing, what they can learn from the video. I have the advantage that I can tell stories with images, right? So I depend a lot on camera people to give me those images to tell the story I'm telling myself. Because if it doesn't match, then you went back to the newsroom with something that doesn't exist. So, and the same thing with the pictures you take for your blog or whatever. You can't have the person who's helping you with the picture not be at your same page, in your same page.
Well, that's fascinating. Growing up, like, who were your role models? Like, who were kind of like people that you were like, you know, they either shaped like what you wanted to be or inspired your work ethic, or
my parents.
Your parents.
It's really interesting. On TV, I always admired like Katie Couric and Diane Sawyer and Christiana McClure and the kind of journalism they did and how natural they were, right? But my parents have nothing to do with what I do. My dad was an executive for Bacardi Corporation, and my dad had, till this day, he's 81, people still tell me what an ethical man, what a hard worker, how honest he was. And so I learned hard work and honesty from both of them. Okay. So that's who I admire. My mom always told me to follow my gut and to believe in that first feeling. And so that kind of has guided me through my life.
That's amazing. I feel like people that have those set of parents, like I feel like we have an unfair advantage sometimes.
We do because you know, and then we demand a lot of ourselves too, right? Because we glorify them, and then we find out that they had debt just like us, you know, or they were frustrated because the kid didn't eat and that kind of thing. But we never heard it.
No.
We just saw the superhero, right?
Totally.
Like my dad wouldn't even take an envelope from work. Like, Pa, can you just bring me like un sobre Manila, you know, the yellow ones? My office is not your school supply. I'm like, oh my God. And so it was always that idea that wherever you go, you're representing yourself, you're representing your people, you're representing your family and your business.
Just like basic good values that I think are really forgotten.
And work in every industry.
Yeah. Since we're on the subject of kind of like your parents, you know, you're a parent, we're both mothers. I have 2 boys, you have a boy and a girl, and I always like, as a mom of 2 boys, like I see kind of like my work cut out for me, even though I'm not a boy myself, but like I can see maybe not 100%, but maybe like 65% of like what I need to do to raise these boys. And I think it's very different than raising a girl. Like, do you see, like, can you tell us boy moms a little bit more about like the differences you see, or like, you know, I don't know, I just think it's an interesting insight, because I just can just really focus and be very niche, you know, and like, this is how I'm going to parent, because I'm not having kids. So it's like, but I always wonder when I see parents that have a boy and a girl, it's like, how do you kind of like psychoanalyze this
and prepare yourself for all the people who, like, genders are now very fluid, right? So, you know what I'm saying? Like, my daughter's 11, and she will tell me things about gender that I'm like, what are you talking about? But that's what she was taught in health class. You know, gender can be very fluid, and, you know, you're a girl because that's what they assigned to you. Although, for the love of God, my girl's a girl, like, you know, to a T, and my boy so far too. But my daughter always keeps me in check. Like, well, just the fact that I like boys doesn't mean that I won't like a girl at one day. And I'm like, you're 11, what are we talking about, right? Because I'm 45, right? If I was a different generation, it'd be different. My daughter is extremely emotional. We don't make friends, even though we're more social sometimes, and my daughter's super social. We don't make friends as easily as my son does. My son will have sports, the boy will bring him in, whereas the girls are more careful, more discerning. I have to work on my daughter's self-esteem, even though I think I do a great job. It gets to a point where someone gets to her, and, you know, sometimes she'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just stupid. And I don't like that. And I'm like, no one in this house has ever called you stupid. I don't call myself stupid. And I tell her, don't call yourself stupid. In life, so many people are going to call you that. So many people are going to criticize you. Be nice to yourself, right? And that's the hardest
Such
part.
a great reminder, by the way.
Constantly, I'm like, Amelia, be kind to yourself. That's who you owe it all to, right? I mean, I can be a great mom, but it's you and how you feel. With Alex, even though he's 6, he's very verbal, and he will explain to me what fears he has, what worries him.
What a gift. A verbal boy.
Totally. And, you know, my husband, I think, was a child like that, even though he's very shy, and my son is very shy. But I noticed that he doesn't suffer fools like my daughter will. You know? And he's, I don't know, I think they're more emotionally simple.
They are.
He's just physically exhausted.
And that's what I was telling Joanna, actually. Joanna's behind the camera for everybody. And, you know, I was telling her, I feel like if boys are fed and they get enough sleep, like, they're okay. Like, they're a little bit more, like, they're simpler animals. They're not as complex. And she was like, that's me. And I was like, no, but I explained to her, I'm just like, there's not, I think, as much more hormonal things maybe going on to the degree, of course, they go through hormonal changes too, but there is something to be said. I think society, like, I always tell my best friends, like, if I would have grown up right now in this day and age, I would have perished. I would have completely perished with, like, the social media, and, like, it's not just comparing yourself to the girls in your class and the girls in a magazine. Now it's girls, you know, across the country that are your age, or, you know, and there's such
about this too. You and I, if we were bullied in school or teased, it would end in school. We'd go home. No one had your phone number, and if they did, they had to talk to your dad first. And then get to you, and your dad knew they were, you know, being awful to you, wouldn't let the call through. Or, you know, you needed to talk in the kitchen with everyone looking at you. So I've told my daughter, and I hope I can do it because motherhood is so fluid, that I don't want her to have a smartphone until she goes to high school. And she's in 5th grade. This may come back to bite me in the ass at some point.
That is a great goal, though, even just setting that goal.
So she goes to a public school behind our place. Right? She's always with one of us. If she's on her up, so I bought her a flip phone because she started doing theater. And in theater, they'll switch your rehearsal, and then I won't know. But the flip phone embarrasses her, right? So she only uses it
in the bathroom.
Like, Mom, I'm done, right? And so there's the group texting is hard. Like, she can't put any apps. And I said, but that's what you need it for. She's a very smart girl, and I told you, if so-and-so bothers you at school, she can chase you back home on a phone, on a smartphone. So she'll use an iPad. So I'm under this, stupid idea that she's safe without a smartphone. So she said the other day, a friend on the group chat of their class on the iPad posted pictures of them going to Dave & Buster's. Only the 2 of them, they had a play date. Well, 2 girlfriends from the chat were offended. Why didn't you invite me? Why didn't you show off? And I'm like, because this is their play date. What? But I said, but you see, If you're not feeling comfortable and you feel slighted by them, that's just gonna fuel the fire. So why do you need that crap, right? You and I didn't have that. We could stop it. We could go to our dance place and be in our safe zone.
And then you would hear about it maybe later, like so and so
Had a birthday party.
and you weren't there, and then you were like, you could imagine, okay, what it was like, but there wasn't like physical evidence of like, this is what
You were
happened.
left out.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think it's worse for girls because
Yes.
boys, society has raised them to have great self-esteem and to be alpha, right?
And they're nicer to each other, generally
Yeah.
speaking. They're a little bit.
That's because they're not that deep.
They're not, yeah.
Like they don't want to go into a profound conversation. They don't want to go into a profound conversation about how you feel about anything, right? Whereas women, we go for the jugular, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
So.
Although I love the movement, it's kind of switching to
Yeah.
see you guys support each other and the people that come here, you promote all of us, and it really feels at Mazi and in 20, I would say as of 2017, 18, I don't know if it was the Me Too movement, where we all started realizing that we've all gone through the same stuff.
Definitely.
And it doesn't hurt me to say that you're awesome and have a wonderful Instagram account, and I love coming here. There's no skin off my back. It just makes you and I better. And I think that, I don't know who, probably men, pitted us against each other. Because we were fighting for that one spot that was left. Right? In the boardroom. And now we can go together, right? And it's so much of a better feeling, right?
I agree.
And to show that to our kids.
Yeah, I definitely have felt it, and it was something, the silver lining of something really negative happening, but really that wasn't the negative thing. It's all the ugly stuff underneath that was the negative thing. So I just wanted to talk a little bit more about your career, because it's just such a unique career, and I think a lot of people aspire to be in your shoes and to kind of get there. So would you attribute, so now I know that you had all these internships, but I had no idea, so this was always a goal. You didn't just fall into it.
No. I've always dreamt of being, you remember when we grew up, you hear the story of, now I can't remember what model it was, but there were always some scout would be in Russia and be like, that's my model. And then she would end up in the runway. There's always some poor skinny Russian girl suffering in the Soviet Union, and someone rescued her. And I was like, that's it. Someone's going to see me on the street of Chicago, Puerto Rico or DC where I studied, and be like, she's perfect. She's going to be Broadway. Never happened. So my parents were
Broadway.
I can kind of dance, but I can't sing. I had to educate myself, which I think has been the secret of my success. I prepare myself for challenges, right? Because they don't come fast. And when they do, then you're like, I got it, I can do it, right? So I interned in Puerto Rico, and I found a university. I went to a private prep school, a Catholic prep school in Puerto Rico, and most of my friends would go to the East Coast to study. And so we picked mostly schools in the East Coast. So I picked the American University in Washington, D.C. because it had a really good broadcast journalism program. It had a TV and radio station, and it made you intern from sophomore year on. At sophomore year, I started interning at Univision in Washington, D.C. And the best thing I did was bank on my Spanish, because my friends were logging tapes and bringing coffee to the anchors at WUSA Channel 9 in DC, and I was interviewing senators and running around as associate producer for Lori Montenegro and different correspondents, because they don't have the manpower, right? So they would hire interns to do it. So I did that internship, and then I would go back to Puerto Rico and have summer jobs at the TV station. I worked my holidays. I had a high school boyfriend, and all my coworkers were like, "Why aren't you with your boyfriend at the beach?" And another camera guy would be like, "Because this one's the one who's going to make something out of herself. Because she's the one that, if a reporter calls in sick, I was on the air then, right?"
That is such an important lesson.
So by my senior year, I was a correspondent for Primer Impacto en Univision.
Of course. Oh my gosh, that's huge.
Because my mentor had seen me do stuff. And literally, Siva, she goes, listen, they're looking for a correspondent in DC for Primer Impacto. Go stand in front of the camera, they want to see how you look and sound. So I wore my two-piece red suit. me puse mi pelito, and I did my, they saw me do a stand-up, and that was it. So I had, for my demo tape, which is what we use as a resume, I had 3 stories that had been seen internationally.
Okay.
They were in Spanish. And in college, they always told us to apply to small TV stations in the US. And I tried, but I noticed my friends coming back, like, they're not gonna pay us anything. And then, of course, I had an accent, and there were plenty of Hispanics who didn't have accents and weren't getting opportunities. They weren't gonna give them to me. So I went home really depressed, thinking that I was going to work at WAPA. I was hoping to be a reporter, but they didn't have a job. And then I remembered a professor of mine telling me, if Spanish is your talent, use it. I was so offended. I'm like, ¿qué le pasa a esta americana? You know? I speak English flawlessly. ¿Qué pasa? But then I realized a ton of people do, so I said, wait, I want to be a reporter, and I want to be a reporter now. So I called Lori in DC, and I said, where's Univision looking for somebody? And they said, Chicago. And I I sent my tape to Chicago just to send it. Like, I remember I told my mom, Ma, this is just to send it. I've never been in an interview. No te preocupes, I'm not leaving. They bought me a bedroom set and a car. I was gonna be in Puerto Rico. I was gonna hooked up. And so they, Univision got my tape, and my boss, Berta Castañer, saw it and said, well, she's green, but we can work on her. And I had papers because I was a US citizen. And check, and I got the job. I will never forget, July 19th, 1996. Is it? Yeah.
July 19th.
Is it today? Today's 18th. So July 19th tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've been in Chicago 23 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And my parents are like, are they crazy? Do they know who they hire? You're 21 years old. This is the 3rd market in the country.
Yeah.
And they paid well. Do you have any questions? I said, do you have insurance? Then they hired me there, and I was covering major news in Chicago. Like a 22-year-old, like Colombians will say, curicagala, you know, like I didn't know what an alderman was. I didn't know anything. No, you know, I didn't know how the streets and sanitation. I learned it all on the job. Wow. Thanks to my camera guys who would tell me, okay, Anna, you gotta go interview that guy.
Like, you don't know anything.
Anything.
Sorry, everybody, but like you really
Nothing.
don't know.
Nothing. And I'm like rubbing elbows with Jay Levine and Marianne Childers and all these really, like, back then veterans of journalism here. And so I worked there for 6 years. I became a weekend anchor there too. And then I started working for their network morning show, doing freelance. And that meant working at night and working early in the morning and, you know, not being paid well. And eventually they opened a position after 3 years of doing that kind of moonlighting.
Yeah.
They opened a position for me in New York City. So my husband and I got married in December, and in June I left the man and went to New York City. And we commuted for 4 months, and I became their national correspondent for the East Coast.
That's amazing.
I don't think I was 30. I was 28.
Okay.
Then I worked there a lot, and they would bring me to Miami a lot to host the show, and it's like Good Morning America on crack. It's like really wild. We had a dog, we danced the birthday song.
Yeah.
So much fun. And I really wanted to be the host of that show, and I wanted to be the host of that show,
Yeah.
but they never saw me as the host, even though they would invite me constantly,
Yeah.
and everyone thought I was going to get the job. The powers that be didn't think I was sexy enough. They thought I was funny and very smart and could do really good interviews, but I wasn't hot, right?
Yeah, it really comes down to one person making the decision.
One person.
And that's what's brutal about
One
life.
person. Yeah, that's what's brutal about it, because I was convinced that that was my plan A.
Yeah.
And it didn't pan out, and I was devastated. But then I always wanted to try my luck in English TV. Because I always had this thing of like, I want to show people that, you know, I'm Puerto Rican and I can do everything, you know?
Yes, you can.
We're more equal than we are different. And I wanted to show them a different face of Latinos. And, you know, that I didn't have to be in the Hispanic neighborhood covering those issues always, you know? And I went to an agent who was the agent for all the Univision important people. I remember, he's still a good friend of mine. And he totally killed my buzz. He's like, listen, forget about it. Stay here. You're doing great in Spanish TV. You know, eventually they'll give you another opportunity. And, you know, there's so many women like you who speak English fluently but don't have an accent. We're born and raised here. Just stay here. You're doing great. I was about to turn 30. Or I may have been 30 already. And And I said, yeah, well, if the problem is my accent, I'm gonna go take care of this. So in New York, I found a school, an accent reduction place.
Okay.
It was a speech pathologist who
Sure,
worked
sure.
with New Yorkers and foreigners to reduce their accent. Heidi Klum went to this guy. His name was
Okay.
Sam Chua. He just passed away.
Okay.
I couldn't afford stamps, so I got some lady from Long Island who was awesome. She had a very neutralized Long Island accent, but she taught me, you don't say President Bush, you say President, right?
Yeah.
You don't say war, you say war. And I learned from a Spanish-speaking person how to speak English, so I didn't know the nuances. So I go to a book signing for a friend of mine who's a really big star in Spanish TV, and people start reacting to me, and her agent, who is that agent who told me not to try anything, saw people reacting to me and said, call my friend who's an agent, talk to him about crossover. And so I called him and I said, I only want to cross over in Chicago, New York, or Miami. I'm not going to Topeka, Kansas. I'm not going to Tuscaloosa. I'm starting from a major market. I'm a journalist. I can write a story.
Yeah.
He said, all right. And he sent my Spanish demo tape to WGN. They were looking for a feature reporter. I wanted to be a feature reporter, which is what I was in Spanish. And my news director didn't speak any Spanish, but he saw something, some chispa o algo. He invited like the one person who spoke Spanish at GN. What was she saying?
Yeah.
And my friend Vicky was like, she's really good. And he invited.
She's saying all the right things.
Yeah. He invited Larry and Robin and Roseanne and everybody to see it. And they're like, this is the girl. He called, does she speak any English? And I had interviewed Bill Clinton once, so I had.
What?
I know, girl.
Oh my gosh, he's like my ultimate crush. I know it's not politically
Yeah,
correct.
I'm gonna tell you something. When I told my husband I was gonna interview him, he goes, wear pants. It was unbelievable. So I had that tape and I sent it to them so that they could see that I could speak English. And I came over, I interviewed in February of '05. I remember because it was Valentine's Day. Really crappy out. I'm like, I'm gonna come back to this crappy weather. But it was like my dream job.
Wow.
And I've been there for 14 years. They gave me the chance. I had never spoken in English on TV.
Wow.
I had major panic attacks right before. Oh, yeah. I woke up 2 days before my debut crying in the hotel room, and my husband's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I can't do this. What did I do? What if I fail? What if somebody calls and says, what is that immigrant with that accent doing on TV? If they did, my boss never told me.
Yeah.
But it's been great. Knock on wood.
Yeah. Well, the people love you, but there's so many questions that I have from the story. It's an amazing success story. I think that kind of the points that I see are I think a lot of people give up too early, when things are not happening, and because so many things are dependent on that one person saying yes, it's kind of good and bad, because then eventually if you get to the right person, somebody in this case, the WGN
News director, yeah. Greg Caputo. I'll never forget Greg Caputo.
And so that's just something to inspire people of if you really want something and you keep hearing no, there will be that one person that says yes.
And my husband's the one who taught me that. He's like, Anna, we just need one person.
Yeah.
One person. And I believe in that more than, you and I probably were in the heyday of The Secret. Put it out there and the universe confides. Blah, 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 Pablo Coelho. And I'm like, I've been putting it out there and I'm still not in Good Morning America. But I think things happen for a reason, I think I'll be ready when those challenges come,
Sure.
Just I feel like people also have a lot more opportunities than I did, right? I had to be on a TV channel.
Yeah.
You guys can be on YouTube. You can have an Instagram account.
Podcast.
And that's what I tell the kids that are going into this business now. Airtime is airtime. So start using it, and look at other people that you like and, try and mimic them. And eventually you'll find your voice.
Yeah.
I didn't sound like this when I started,
Right.
So I had to neutralize my Puerto Rican accent so that general population would understand me.
Yeah.
And in English I have to, sometimes I look at my producer like, did I pronounce that right?
Yeah.
At least twice a week I screw up an English word.
Yeah. I still do too. When English is not your first language,
Yeah.
it's the share?
Yeah.
Chair?
Yeah. And then you make them up.
Yeah. The other really interesting point too is just getting back to putting the work in is just I can't, like, think about all the things that you did. You got a coach, you traveled, you said yes to everything. And I think that nowadays, I think people don't see all of the behind the scenes. Like, they don't see, you know, that you were up to whatever time at night, or that you neglected, you know, some family time perhaps, or that you had to go on travel. And you have to put the work in. Like, for me, I can totally relate, because it's like, you know, people say, oh, well, there's Mozzie Dance Fitness, and like that, you know, that just seemed to kind of pop out of nowhere, and it looks so easy. Or now, like with my blogging career, like, oh, well, it's just posting pictures, and it's like, they don't see like the behind the scenes of like all the sacrifice that goes into it, and like all the work and all the times that you don't watch the movie, or that you don't like, you know.
Oh, I haven't had Thanksgiving with my family in Puerto Rico in 23 years. Because Thanksgiving, November is sweeps month.
Yeah.
So I couldn't travel. I had to get married in December because I couldn't get married during sweeps, because you don't get days off. We don't get holidays. Like, my family still asks me, do you have Labor Day off? I'm like, we don't have days off. Now that I do features, sometimes I'm lucky enough and I'll get the day off, and because they need my crew or whatever, but it's never a given.
No.
Every time I ask for Christmas off, I'm always like, oh my God, they can say no. This could be the year they say no, because other people have seniority, or but they understand that I can't drive home to see my family. I have to fly to Puerto Rico to see them for Christmas. So they're very understanding in that sense. But at the beginning of your career, no, I missed my best friend's wedding, because she switched it from October to November, so then I couldn't go be the bridesmaid, the maid of honor. And so I missed a lot of my niece's accomplishments, but you compensate in other ways. And I love what I do, right? And I've been able to make time in other ways.
If somebody could say, like, what is like the most important thing that you've learned in your career, like, what would you say that is? I know that's a really hard question, because there's like so many things. Like,
it sounds really abstract, right? But I think it's to be prepared.
yes.
To not take it for granted, and to be yourself. I think the secret of my success, if you can call it that, has been that I've always been myself, right? And when I try and force myself not to be, like when I want to be the anchor for the 5 p.m. news, it's like, when I was anchoring, my co-anchor would be like, this chair just limits you. Like, you just want to explode off the studio. And I'm like, no, but I could be a serious, dignified anchor. And he's like, but you don't have to, because it goes against who you are, right?
Be yourself, that's such an important.
And it's really, really hard to go against your fears, you know?
Yeah.
I have the same fears that I had when I was 8.
Yeah.
But I've worked through them. I've been in therapy since I was 13, on and off. I've always found it after that first time I went to therapy that was kind of like self-care, right?
Yes.
So if you need a physical, or your car needs a tune-up, that's a tune-up I need. So anytime I had a big challenge that I knew my insecurities would get the best of me, I'd go to my therapist. After having the kids, I needed to go to
Double time.
Oh, double
Double
time.
now.
Like, he's like, come weekly. Because it exacerbates your insecurities, right? So yeah.
And then do you ever feel like you're just like not doing anything well? Like that's something that is shocking, and I think to new moms too, especially like us careerists, that like we were so driven to do something, and then now you have kids, and now you're like, wow, like I'm not doing the mom thing good enough, or I'm not doing the career thing good enough, and like I guess I just want to put it out there, because I sometimes hear that kind of like in a secret, like with my friends and family, like, I'm really sucking at this and this, and it's just like, oh, like, please, like, you're not alone, like, we all feel like that.
That was my biggest frustration when I became a mom, because I had nailed the career, I had a great husband, I had financial stability, and then this baby came along, and I couldn't make it happen. I couldn't make it sleep, I couldn't make her eat, I couldn't make her, I couldn't guess her needs ahead of time. I had the baby blues because I had an awful delivery, and between that and the hormones dropping and my state of being, I was like, I was a mess. And so I think that motherhood has taught me flexibility and to be nicer to myself, because even though my mom tells me you do too much, Sometimes when I want to take a nap, I'm laying there like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I should be doing laundry, or and I do this thing. And you know, you were raised by a Mexican mom, so my mom would anticipate our needs, right?
Yeah.
So I want to be a career woman. So if I travel for work, and my husband's like, "Why are you doing this?" I want to leave every meal ready.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I can feed them." He said, "But you're gonna feed them pizza and chicken nuggets." And he's like, "But I'll feed them." So the first 2 times I had to travel for work, I was like, "Okay, and the kid's gonna do this, and here's your list of food, and blah blah blah." And then I realized, why am I doing that? He wouldn't do that if he had to travel for work.
Right, yeah.
But it's that mentality of I was raised this way. I was raised by a stay-at-home mom who was an executive's wife, who looked perfect when dad came home. Like my mom looked at really cute shorts and shirt and had read the Time magazine so she could be intellectually at my dad's level. She would always say there's always an attorney, a female attorney at the office who knows more than I do, so I gotta be up to speed. And so, I know. So I wrestle with that, and I wrestle with not doing absolutely everything I can, right?
And I feel like that's where I found my balance too, is like, sometimes I'm the chicken nugget giver, you know? And it's
like last night I had guac and chips and yogurt for dinner. And my daughter's like, "I'll have noodles with marinara sauce." All right. And Steve had tennis and he picked up Chipotle on his way back. We're all fed, I'm going to bed. And I was like, I don't think she's had a vegetable in 3 days. And then I'm like,
who has?
And then she goes, "I'm constipated." Oh crap, how much carbs have I given you? Oh no, you know? And it's like, broccoli. Yeah, oh yeah. I blame them a lot too, like at the pediatrician, I'm like, he won't eat. She's like, "Have you exposed him?" Tell her how much I've exposed you to food. You're just being difficult.
All the food groups.
All the food groups.
Oh my gosh. Back to the question of, so meet all these different people all the time. You've interviewed Bill Clinton, which blows my mind. What do you do? I mean, obviously you get intimidated. Like when I teach my class, and I've done it like 5,000 times, and in this room, like I walk in there and it's not Bill Clinton, it's just nice women that want to work out. And I am so nervous, and like I just kind of start moving and it all gets better. How do you like work through the nerves and like can coherently like talk, you know? Because you have to perform when you can, you know, it's like, or do you ever like get a vibe where you're just like, oh my gosh, like this is not going well, and like they want me to leave, like you still have to keep it going? Or, but no, just like, how do you deal with intimidation?
So people have said, imagine them naked, imagine them in the toilet. I can't.
No.
I can't. I try to remind myself that they're a person just like me. I try to flatter them because that brings the person to, like, especially if you come in and the vibe is like, here's another reporter asking stupid questions. If you connect with them in a human way, like, how are your kids? And you start a conversation, I try that. I am always nervous. My coworkers laugh, but I always am nervous. When they say, let's check in with Anna, I have those butterflies in my stomach. And like you said, after when you start dancing, it all goes away. When I start talking, then it goes away. But there's good days and bad days, and there's days that I just go home and I'm like, I butchered that. That did not go as I planned. And, you know, or sometimes I go, I shared too much. I should have kept to my time. No one understood that joke I did. I also do stand-up comedy. That's even worse.
You do?
Yeah.
Why haven't I seen you?
Because I do it sporadically, and I do like bilingual shows with other stand-up comedians. I've been doing it for 10 years.
Amazing.
And that is intimidating as hell.
Okay.
That's why you don't hear about it, because I don't do it that often.
It's like the thing she does.
Oh, on the side, and I don't promote it, and my production friends are like, promote it. I'm like, no.
You're up to something here. It's amazing.
I just did comedy ever since my daughter was born, so it's been 11 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and that is scary because when you're interviewing somebody, you have their feet. It's like it's like acting, but when you're by yourself,
soliloquy, right? You're just like
it's a monologue,
and
you're trying to be funny, and not everybody laughs the same way, and But the stand-up comedy community here is really cool, so they're very supportive. And
Chicago's just amazing. It's just an amazing town.
We're very open to people trying new things.
Totally. What is your typical day like?
So like today, I woke up at 4:30. I did my hair and makeup, and drove to the station, picked up my producer. We went to Arlington Heights, worked there till 10, went back to the station, worked on our future projects. I get out of work usually around noon. They're very flexible with us. Like none of us talent really works an 8-hour day. Like they're not making sure we clocked in and clocked out and whatever. At least that's always my experience. There's days I work longer hours, but after that I run some errands and I go home and I try to nap, and then I pick up the kids from school on a school day, and then it's, homework, physical, like whatever they have that day, swimming, tennis. And then I come home, I make dinner, I feed them, and I don't go to bed until they go to bed. So I could be going to bed, like I like to read too, so then maybe going to bed between 9 and 9:30, so then I want to read another half hour, and I'm like, crap, I gotta go to sleep. Yeah, I cannot just lay down, right? So I have to read it to unwind. And that's why I try and work out weekends, because during the weekday, I don't know how the day is gonna be, and I'd rather sleep.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'd rather sleep. So, and I've noticed that the older you get, the more you need it to function. I would be a terrible parent if, I am an awful person when I don't sleep, so. I take the kids places so that no one sees it,
Yeah.
And I yell at them in Spanish. That always helps.
Oh, right. What is she saying?
Right, no one can tell.
So back to the Spanish a little bit, because we have that in common, right? We're both Hispanic girls. And, I guess, this city really embraces Hispanic people. It's amazing. Any, specific advice to Hispanic youth, women especially?
Live your culture to the fullest. I was asked the other day, how do you deal with racism? And I'm like, I'm in their face.
Yeah.
You can't get more Puerto Rican than this. I have the island on my neck today,
Oh,
yeah, that's the map.
Really...
I have an accent. I can't help it. I am loud and I am...
But that's okay.
That's because you grew up with parents. You're tuned out. My kids find it, Ziba, trust me. Oh, yeah. And I just go about my day being myself, and I've raised my kids by example to be proud of who they are. My kids are a double whammy because they're half Puerto Rican, half Jewish, so they're gonna be hated by somebody at some point, right? So I think the more you expose people to who you are, the more comfortable they feel, right?
That's such a good point.
So the more they can relate to me as a person, then they go like, oh, yeah. And I've always said, these people that are racist and homophobic and whatever, as soon as the first Indian gay man saves their lives from a heart attack, gone, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you need to get over yourself. So we're more similar than we are different, especially in our values, right? So I've exposed my friends to all of it. I have my producer and my camera lady saying "Wepa" at the end of every Facebook Live, which is like a cheer we do in Spanish in Puerto Rico. And I have them trying new food, and I'm very obnoxious about it. But I think the more that you're in your face about it, they can't help it. Like, you cannot tell me that you cannot make a difference. I married a guy from Glenview, Illinois. And he's had family members who are like, I never knew a Puerto Rican could be educated, right? And you're like, you're being kind of racist right now, right? Wow. So that idea, you can't like me and then have a problem with a Mexican immigrant. You just can't.
Right.
That's why I can't comprehend. You can't dislike me or like me and not like my babysitter from Colombia who has busted her butt to get her papers. You can't. It doesn't make any sense. Her and I come from the same place, eat the same food,
And frankly, we all do. I mean, unless you were a Native American.
Yeah, unless you were a Cherokee Indian.
Or, by the way, got all your stuff taken away from you. And your beliefs, everything was wiped away. Unless you're them, and
you have no claim.
You really don't have any claim. We all came here looking for just like a better life.
Yeah, and I think, I was talking to my producer, and she's 27, and we had our first issue because when I pronounce something wrong, she laughs.
Yeah.
And I have a big hang up about having an accent. You know how many times I've said it today?
Yeah.
I've had it because growing up, people would make fun of it.
Yeah.
And they treat us like we're less educated because we can't pronounce things right. If it's a British accent, people love it. They think, oh, you're super intelligent. If it's Spanish, they're like, why aren't you cleaning my floors? That has always made me so mad.
Yes.
It's like, this person could be insulting you, but because it's in British English, you think it's fabulous. So
Such a great point.
she would laugh, and I would be like, really, it would upset me. And yesterday I explained it to her, and she's like, I am so sorry, I never saw it this way. I said, you're from a generation where you get it. I speak 2 languages, and you find it cute.
Yeah.
You said, she told me, I just find it really pretty and funny. I'm not trying to be insulting. I said, it gets on my nerves because it's my insecurity. That there's someone in Des Plaines saying, what is this Hispanic girl who can't pronounce blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
And she's like, that's not how I mean it. I said, I know I need correction,
Yeah.
but try not to like laugh because it's my baggage. It's not you, it's me, right? So now that I know where you're coming from, it won't bother me that way.
Yeah.
And I'm very self-deprecating, but I said, and I think it's great that this generation understands that you're bilingual, which makes you even more desirable, right?
Yeah.
Because we can think and process in 2 languages, we can speak it.
Probably smarter. Just kidding.
I didn't want to say that. And so, but I'm fascinated by you and your sister because when you, I never speak it with you guys, very little. But when you write it to me, you write it perfectly. Like, what did your parents do?
So we spoke Spanish at home. Born in Texas, you know, my dad's first generation American. My mom, Mexican, came over with him, you know, and so she didn't speak English at all, and she has always struggled with it, just from a confidence standpoint. She has degrees in English, like she can read and write perfectly, but she just cannot speak. She doesn't have the confidence. It's really funny. And so we spoke it at home and went into like kindergarten knowing nothing, like
English,
no English. And I was in El Paso, Texas, so I had the luxury of like not
You weren't the only one,
but
yeah.
I wasn't the only one, but I was not the majority. I was still like, you know, I went to first grade and they were still like, hey, I think that you need to go to English as a second language
Yes.
class. And I remember sitting like on my teacher's lap, Mrs. Myers, who spoke no Spanish, and just crying, be like, please don't send me to the class. Like, I'll work really hard, I'll get this. And she like loved me so much. She's like, okay, we'll keep you in here. She's like, but you don't understand English. I'm like, I'll get this. And I think that was really key in not letting me, in like having me have to work harder. Because there was something about it, I was like, don't send me there, I know I got this, you know? And it was just like a pride thing, even at 6 years old, like being like, don't send me there. I don't want to go to like the small group, of like the small group, you know, I want to be like,
I want this challenge, yeah.
And it worked. I mean, I think it just like had me work harder, and I have a pretty good musical ear, so I think I was able to mimic a lot of the way that I was supposed to be sounding. But you know, if I get nervous or you know, I'm tired or whatever, like my little Mexican Spanish will come out. You know, it's really funny.
And the writing, did she teach you how to read?
No, the writing is just because I read in both languages, so like that's why. But I don't know where to put the accents. That's my thing. I'm like, if you want me to write,
You guys have to be super smart because I thought your mom like sent you to classes for reading and writing.
I took zero Spanish classes, no Spanish classes, because we had that like, well, we speak. It's our first language. It's like it's in our blood, you know.
And now it's so hard with your kids because with my kids
it's so hard.
And I criticized so many of my friends.
Me too, and I feel like such a jerk because I was like, why do these kids not speak? You know, Spanish? Like the moms speak, and I'm like, crap, this is really, really hard.
It's really hard.
With they come home from school and they're just like looking at you like, what are you talking about?
I had the luxury that Amelia understood everything because our nanny didn't speak any English. And that's our nanny. She's been our nanny for 11 years.
Yeah.
So Amelia was forced to understand in Colombian Spanish, like fancy, nice Spanish. Fancy Spanish.
The British Spanish.
Yeah, British Spanish. Absolutely. Yeah, Gabriel Garcia Marquez Spanish. And so Amelia always understands me. Especially when she spends the summers with Vilma. Alex is 6 years younger, so his sister will speak English to him. His dad doesn't speak Spanish, so he's been a little harder.
Okay.
And he just doesn't, but he's so proud to be half Puerto Rican, and he knows it's cute to speak it, so he'll throw it here and there. He has great
It's
rhythm.
gonna be a heartbreaker.
A heartbreaker. But he doesn't have an ear like his sister
Yeah, okay.
has.
Yeah.
But he doesn't mind me talking because sometimes he'll be like, say it to me in English. I'm like, no, that's your problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know he can survive.
Yeah. That's adorable.
But it's hard. It's
I
very
know.
hard.
We have to stay committed though. Like,
Yeah, we do. We're doing them a favor.
We are. So let me just get to the quick questions, and then we will let you go. So just wanted to kind of like finish these sentences. So like the last song I danced to. I know you haven't been in class in a while.
No, but I dance every day. Let me think. What did I do? What did I do yesterday for work? I have to think what I did for work. I think it was something Pitbull. I think it was I Know You Want Me from Pitbull.
That's a classic, man. That was like one of my first Mozzie choreographies.
As it should be.
Yes. Like this is I wrote like biggest pet peeve when watching TV. So like when you're watching somebody do like your job, like is there anything that kind of like you're like, ugh?
I don't like puns that much. You know, they get really cheesy about what they're covering. I don't like when they try and be funny and they're not inherently funny.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Like, they work sometimes.
It works sometimes, but I think I have a pet peeve when they try to exaggerate stuff, right? When they don't keep it balanced. But
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
I know how hard it is, though.
I know. That's what when I go to fitness class too, I'm always like in my mind, I'm like, gosh, I really didn't like when that happened. And I'm like, but I know it's so hard to like keep the balance. So it's kind of, it's humbling. The most surreal place or person that it sounds like the,
Oh, that was so
thing.
awesome. Well, you know, floating in a Mylar pool
Yeah.
at the Roosevelt Auditorium. Skydiving indoors is really weird. What else?
Was there any person that you were just like, wow, like this was awesome?
Well, I met Lin-Manuel Miranda, so in the Heights in Hamilton,
Oh boy.
producer and writer, and
Oh
yeah.
my goodness.
And so I thought we were going to become best friends. Didn't happen. Regular people fascinate me.
Yeah.
You know, who beat the odds and. Those people, I've spent 14 years in
Right.
English, and then before that in Spanish. That I admire the people who've gone through so much and can still be happy. You know.
That is beautiful, and I think that's such an important lesson because sometimes I feel like the people that have everything that haven't gone through anything are sometimes the people that are really not that happy.
Yeah, I
Sometimes,
think yeah.
I mean, not always.
Not always, but I feel that people that have gone through the loss of a child, or you know, early loss of a parent, or a diagnosis, to be able to live in spite of that and live to the fullest.
Yes.
The Holocaust survivors, you know,
Right.
people who survive those kinds of traumatic experiences, to start over and sing and dance and enjoy yourself would be hard. You know, keeping it real.
Yeah. Your happiest when?
I'm dancing. That's why I dance every day. I'm happiest when my kids are happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy when I make my husband laugh, laugh, right? He says that I'm happiest with my family in Puerto Rico. He says I have a different kind of smile and a different kind of laugh.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I know.
I'm sure it's true.
It probably is, yeah.
But like, what do you always like kind of have in your bag? You like, obviously go everywhere.
I have lipstick, lip gloss, powder, for sure. A hairbrush, hairspray, a notebook, my phone, mints, now my readers. Because I'm almost 45, I got my
I
readers.
can't believe that, by the way. You look
Yeah.
35. It's insane.
And then in the summer I have an abanico, a fan, a
Okay.
Spanish fan.
I know that.
They all make fun of me,
You Trent.
but
I'm
Whip it out.
gonna like claim that.
I think you should.
Like,
Yeah.
most days I wear
Jeans.
jeans. And then because we're in Chicago and we're Chicago lovers, what are your 3 favorite like places, like people that are coming into town and visit Chicago? Like what do you, either it can be a restaurant or like, you know, a place like what
They have to go to the architectural tour.
Okay.
They have to go to Second City.
Yes.
Or
Watch you.
or some improv theater.
Yep.
Some improv theater. It doesn't have to be Second City. There's IO, there's a bunch of them. I love downtown.
I know, me too.
I think if you could go to a Cubs game, go to a Cubs game. It's quite the experience.
Yeah. If you're that person.
If you're that person. I go for the food and the alcohol. I don't even notice when they start.
I don't either. I'm just like talking.
My husband's clapping and I'm like, oh, did the mayor show up? And he's like, no, that guy who was strike. Oh, it started again? Was that intermission?
Intermission.
I judge everything like theater.
Intermission, yes.
Is he gonna wear his costume
Yeah,
today?
the costume. Was this just a dress rehearsal?
Yeah. And come here in the summer. Do not waste your time coming in any other season. Yeah, don't. We have 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the people here.
I know. They're awesome.
Yeah, you guys, I don't know, you lucked out picking Chicago.
We did.
Because the other options would be great for business, but the human quality here,
There's more.
la calidad humana, you know, that is different here. I noticed it from the moment I arrived here when I was 21. I couldn't have landed in a better city. New York would have eaten me alive. Yeah.
Yay. Well, thank you so much
Thank
for doing
you.
this, Anna. I'm like, it was so fun. I mean, I imagine like you were as, you know, like your life has been as amazing as now I know it has been, but learned so much about you and
Good.
it was so good. I think like it's so great for people to hear that, just like how the hard work of it and just that living your dream. And I think sometimes too, like people think just because you do what you love, like you never have to work a day, you know, but it's like, it's not really true. Like, I feel like you're just willing to work harder sometimes because it's your passion and you're able to like do the things that you don't necessarily want to do because you love it. So it's not true. The whole you'll never work.
You'll work, but you're working what you love.
Yeah.
But it's still work, you know? Yeah. Well, thank you. I loved it.